Thursday night, Vince. We are alive. It is a long week, a long day, but you know what? Every day, Vince, is a great day to be alive. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Every day is a great day to be a Knoll. Every day is a great day to be a dad. And every day is a great day when it's Thursday and almost Friday.
Every day is
So
a great day for Maker's Mark.
this is Garnet and Old. No inside info, no contacts, no problem. We do have a couple contacts. We keep saying that, but that's the moniker, and that's what we're going to go with until such time as it doesn't make any sense anymore. And while you're jumping into the chat, share the link out. I mean, what are we doing here? Share
Yeah.
the link out. Share it Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Just share it out. Get some more folks in here, so we can start talking about all the happenings of the last week or so.
Yes, sir. And before we get to talking about all the news, which we're going to talk about the tour of duty, the great give, some information about Lane Kiffin was, at one point a potential coach. We're going to get into all that. But first, two things, Vince. I have a small, fun story to tell you that I think is relatable to everyone out there.
Oh boy, here we
And
go,
then,
people.
and then I also have a bone to pick with you, and I want the audience's help on the second part. So,
Roger that.
audience, when you hear what I
When
have
you
to
hear the
say,
bone to pick, yeah, I know
jump
where
in the
this is going.
comments. All
I
right,
know where
so
this is going.
first the story, Vince, real quick.
Nope. Hold on.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Go ahead.
All right, so for the last 2 weeks, trying to do the good thing, trying to eat right, Vince. Not trying to diet. I don't like to call it diet. Just trying to be, hey,
New
portion
lifestyle.
sizes, smaller portions, still eating good meals, less carbs, not no carbs, because that's not sustainable. Let's be honest. We all like, bread and
No
all that
one.
kind of stuff.
Yeah. No one wants that life.
So you're going and you're feeling good, and you're like, man, this ain't so bad. After 2 or 3 days, you're like, yeah, I'm in a groove, right? Well, then you get a real long day at work, and it's stressful, and it's grinding you down. You're just ready to. And when on that way home, on your little shoulder drops the devil, and he goes, "Hey, it'd be good,
Little waffle fries.
a little pizza action. What goes great with pizza is ice cream."
Mm.
And I hear the pizza place also has a baked cookie that you can mix with the ice cream.
When are you gonna lead into that pizza with some garlic knots?
Yeah. Oh, we got boneless wings with it.
Oh well,
So
but they're breaded.
yeah, me and the wife, 8-piece boneless wing, a pizza, and some cookies and ice cream. And guess what? Right now, at the moment, after consuming, I feel great. But I know the crash is coming. It's probably going to be feeling rough tomorrow. But guess what? Some days, hey, you need a vice. Now, Vince, do you want to go into your thing real quick before I get my bone to pick out of my system?
No, I want to. Yes, but first I want to talk about. Is this the post cruise kind of cleanse you're doing here, or what?
Yeah, no, just trying to be smarter. That's it.
Okay. So yeah, I mean the low carb life is not something you want to sustain.
No, no.
That's like a quick in and out, because there are way too many things that are delicious that have carbs,
Yeah,
and
portion
uh, and
sizes are important.
yeah, and also by the way, you also don't want to go like the whole vegetarian route because there's a lot of really delicious animals that are out there.
They sure are.
So, speaking of, totally unprepared for this, but with the whole vegetarian lifestyle, how you have, they're, packing these herbs and spices and twigs and stuff, and they kind of press into a burger looking thing to make it look like a burger.
Yes.
Right. So, have you seen the meat products that are pressed into things that look like a carrot?
I don't want. I think I'm out of this world, Vince. I think I'm missing out. I'm assuming Trader Joe's would carry such a thing.
No, I just think that the meat producers have kind of had enough of the whole thing, and like,
Hmm.
hey, if you're going to infringe on our territory, and you're going to have a vegetarian hamburger, we are going to give you a carnivore carrot. Look it up. It
I will.
looks
I will.
delicious.
I
Dip it
probably.
in some barbecue sauce. It's probably something you want to look at.
All right.
So yeah, so going to me now. So because we're waiting for people to jump in the chat. That's what this banner is all about. Get some people in the chat. And by the way, if you are going to chat, if you're interested, if you want a super chat, you should see that little icon there in the chat. And what that basically does is highlights the comment for us, so we can spend a little more time on your comment. And you can, if you're inclined to do, you can donate a little to the Garnet and Old cause. So today is my daughter's birthday, and she is 19 years old, and she came in from school today. She's going to Georgia Southern, pulled in, and so for the last 16 hours or so, my wife and I have been prepping for this birthday meal. So, by the way, if you hear some people in the background, the birthday party's going on behind me.
Yeah.
But she requested, Dad's homemade meatballs, and she requested Dad's homemade pasta, and she requested, homemade stuff. So last night, after a pretty good dinner, I made about 4 pounds of meatballs.
Good Lord.
Took me till about midnight to do
In
that.
carrot shape.
They're not carrot shaped. And then today, as right at my lunchtime, I was starting to make the pasta, and I ended up making about 4 pounds of homemade pasta as well. The meal turned out great. If you want a recipe for the meatballs, I'd be happy to share it. Being Italian, I like to think that I have a little bit of a leg up with that.
The Italian stallion.
The Italian stallion, sure.
Happy birthday, Gabby.
Happy birthday, Gabby.
All the way from Afghanistan.
My cousin in Afghanistan. Happy birthday.
Tiola Winston.
It's the biggest. It's the biggest.
All right. So guys, I promise we're going to get to Florida State.
The Florida State stuff.
We got to have fun. It's near the end of the week. We're all winding down from the work week. So I got a bone to pick with this guy, Vince.
Here we go.
The year was 2019. I had just started at a company that Vince and I worked at together. He was the trainer. He was onboarding me. And in conversation, Vince brought up a show called Game of Thrones.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I've heard of it, but I've never watched it.
Mm-hmm.
And I believed he stopped presenting and turned to me and said, "You've got to be kidding me." It's like, no, I mean, I've heard of it, but I don't know if it's my thing or, what the deal is.
I basically said, what is you doing?
Yes. And for the next 3 days during training, he was like, did you give it a try? Did you start it? And I said, no, not yet. And then finally on the third day, he's like, listen, watch.
You're
2
fired.
episodes. No,
You're fired if you don't.
Yeah, just watch 2 episodes. And I think he did make you'll be fired if you don't. So guess what? Me being an honorable human being, I went home and I binged Game of Thrones over the next 2 months. Now, for the last 3 years, randomly, sporadically, I've been saying, hey, Vince, and guys, here's where I need your help in the chat. Help me out here. I've been telling Vince for 3 years, okay, it's my turn. You want to return the favor. You want to get someone else to watch a show that you really like that they haven't seen. And so my show that I really liked from way back when.
The Brady Bunch.
No. A good show. But no. I said, Vince, you have to watch Lost.
Never seen it.
Now, similar to Game of Thrones, didn't stick the landing that great, but it was still pretty good to the end. But at the beginning through around season 5, much like Game of Thrones, extremely good. And I want people to help me out in the chat. If you've seen Lost, help me out here with a thumbs up or yes, Lost is a great show. So over 3 years, I've been saying, hey, Vince, you ought to check it out. And he's like, yeah, maybe. Yeah, I get the yeah, maybe. Case of the yeah, maybes. And so finally now, Vince, for the last couple of months, has been posting on Twitter that he has been posting on a guy who posts every day the Georgia Tech score against Miami. And Vince posts, it's Groundhog Day, and he posts that every day. Well, now underneath Vince's Groundhog Day posts, I comment a GIF of the Lost little logo intro that's coming into focus and falling out of focus. Now, Vince, tell the audience out there, why I was treated as a second-class citizen when I didn't watch Game of Thrones, but you can casually dismiss such an important show to me. Tell the audience why you hate me.
It's not hate, Ryan. Not at all. I can turn this around pretty quickly. There's only so many hours in a day, everybody.
Well, I didn't have any
And
hours available
and
in 2019, Vince.
and there was, there's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of shows out there, by the way. Um, heavily involved in the Bear, by the way. Heavily involved in the Bear. Great show. Um, the new Walking Dead show came out a couple weeks ago. So far, so good with that. I promise you, Ryan, I will commit to watching 2 episodes of Lost before the end of this weekend.
There we go.
And if it catches me, it catches me.
Yes.
And if it doesn't, it doesn't. But I will have fulfilled my obligation
Yes.
as your friend and your cohort
Yes.
to at least give it a try.
Now, being that I already know it's going to catch you, because I said the same thing to you. I said, I'm not really a big drama like, kings and knights and queens and dragons, and you're like, you don't understand. And when a show has excellent writing, it doesn't matter what the subject matter is.
Sure.
It
Brady
can make
Bunch.
anything interesting. So
Right.
I can't wait to hear your reaction. So everyone tune in live next week on the Garnet and Old show to hear Vince's review of at minimum 2 episodes, but likely more by then, episodes of Lost.
Yep. Okay. I will commit to that. I will commit to watching 2 episodes of Lost before the end of the weekend, and then we can stop this ridiculousness of badgering me about Lost.
Now, I do want to, real quick, before we get into things, say hello to one of our friends commenting, Jen Knoll, friend of the show, part of the Renegade Report. Great show, guys, as always. Thank you, Jen. You are the best. We appreciate everything that you guys at the Renegade Report do. And if you guys aren't subscribed to the Renegade Report, go check them out. They're a good channel. Good people over there.
Fantastic. They often have a show right after ours is done, actually. So if
They
you want
sure
some more
do.
Knoll news, you can just switch on over and go watch that.
And the last thing before we get into FSU talk, Kirk David Tony says, anyone watch Cobra Kai on Netflix? So here's the thing. Kirk,
Who are you talking to?
Vince has. But guess what? I haven't. But you know what? There's just not enough hours in the day. There's too many shows. I can't. How can I possibly fit it in between Love Is Blind and the Crown? You know, where am I going to fit it in? You know.
Listen, Cobra Kai, worth every second you could possibly. You should quit your job to watch Cobra Kai.
Yes, and I do like.
Then you'll have a lot of
movies.
hours.
I love the Karate Kid movies.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jen, and she's. We love you too,
It's
Jen.
very nice. Thank you, Jen.
All right, let's get into events. Let's actually get into some Florida State stuff. So, of course, like everyone in the whole world, we want to know about tour of duty. So, Vince, one thing that ticked me off right off the bat about tour of duty.
Yeah.
You see many of the sites out there posting clips of players, doing their workouts, and I immediately see a lot of Miami fans, but other fans too, poking fun at DJ.
Right.
Because of how kind of like he's very tall and thick. And listen, that a man that large, maybe looks a little awkward. It's kind of like watching Jameis Winston do his preseason workouts on Instagram. Just an odd body type, right? Like
right.
to see do those kind of moves. And they were teasing him. Now listen, you guys would probably expect me to have a problem with this teasing, but I don't. You know why? Because we were teasing Cam Ward footage yesterday.
There's no doubt.
It's fair game.
That's exactly what I was going to say. If any of these kind of things bother you, then hopefully you're not teasing the other fan bases, but hopefully you are, because this is the crazy season. And by the way, we didn't really lead this in like maybe we should have, Ryan. I don't know that everybody that's watching the show knows what the tour duty is.
Yeah, I mean it's essentially what they used to. What did the Bobby Bowden era used to call it?
Mat
drills. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
basically
fourth quarter drills.
Yeah, it's pre spring training conditioning.
It's almost you don't want to call it like hell weeks, but kind of, right? It's kind of laying the foundation so that when the games come around, the games seem easy compared to what you had to go through.
And universally, most of the players that have gone through it with Mike Norvell say it's extremely difficult, but that the coaches are extremely authentic. And they can tell they love the players and that they're just trying to get them better, which is great to hear. But One thing I noticed right off the bat, Vince, from some of the pictures and some of the videos is,
Hmm.
man, Luke Cromohawk, he he's a big man.
Yeah,
And
yes, he's a big dude. In some of the pictures, right? I'm see. So
mhm,
if you're not paying attention, and that's fine. Um, it's off season. Not everybody's diving real deep into this stuff. But if you wanted to get an idea on the growth of people, go look at like Luke's um, uh, prospect photo and look at a photo of him now. Go look at Cam Davis may be a bad one to do because
yeah,
he's been like a Greek god for a while.
yeah,
But go look at like last year's picture and this year's pictures of these folks, man. Josh Storms,
body by storms.
oh, body by storms, combine by storms.
Hmm. Yeah, and it did help going into this, Vince, that coming off the combine, so many players were who did so well, and Florida State was extremely well in a good light at the combine, to say the
Hmm.
least. So many of those players were saying, "Well, of course, because I had Coach Storms, the best conditioning coach in the country, and Florida State, really set me up for this. So of course we did well." Like it's all good press right now, which is awesome. But for the quarterback room, to wrap up the quarterback room, Brock Glenn to me looked about the same. Some sites were saying he looked about the same to me. I mean, we just
Yeah,
saw him in December, so it's like
yeah.
okay. But Luke does not look like a high schooler no more. He looks like a
N-
grown man.
right. Yeah. I mean, he already looked a little bit, older than his age anyway, I think.
Hmm.
So, grizzled, grizzled would not be the appropriate term, but he definitely looks, more mature than he did.
He sure does. And we have a lot of returning players on offense that we're familiar with, people like Keziah Holmes, Ja'Kai Douglas. So I think we kind of know what we're getting out of that. A lot of the tight ends, but it's nice to see Hakeem Williams and Destin Hill. Like now we know those are guys are going to be featured this year,
Yes.
and man, do they look sharp in those drills.
I think that we were probably on the precipice of getting a little bit of a breakout from Hakeem last year until he got hurt. And so, you know, if that was going to happen last year, we're pretty much nothing is a guarantee, right? Because you don't know about injuries and all this kind of stuff. But I've got a good feeling about him. That's for sure.
And Jalen Brown, saw a little bit of him. Jury's out there. Good body size. Ellis from LSU transfer in. Um, he's looking good. But again, tour of duty is it's fun to just see the players on the field again, see the incoming people, but it doesn't give you a lot of information about how they're going to play. It's really
Mhm.
just like body transformation, right? That's what we're looking for here.
Yeah, I think you're looking for that, and I think you're also looking for if you're reading the sites, you're looking for any nuggets about cohesion with the players. You're looking for nuggets about leadership. You're looking for nuggets about if somebody is standing out in tour of duty, it's typically not going to be for necessarily physical things, right? Because
Yeah.
it's going to be more about leadership and things like that. And I
Yep.
think those are the things you're going to hear about. So, I mean, no news is good news. You're not hearing about people getting hurt. So,
Yeah.
you know, uh, have you ever seen a mat drill or a tour of duty or anything like that, like live?
I thought you were going to say, have I ever seen Robin Hood Man in Tights? Because the no noose is good news. But yes, and only when I was a student and I would walk by and kind of see the stuff happening out in the field and kind of stop and
Yeah,
watch,
yeah,
but not, I mean, not since 2007, you know?
right. Yeah, so I've never seen any of that live. Maybe someday I'll get a chance to do that because I think it just puts in perspective uh, the difference between normal human beings like me and you, and people
Absolutely.
that and people that are not normal in that realm. So, and I think it also puts some great perspective on when we're talking about players and how difficult it is, and
Yeah.
we think it's easy sometimes, and we will nitpick little things all the time. I think it puts in perspective the types of things they have to go through
Yep.
to even get on the field. So someday I'd like to do that. Anybody has any
Absolutely.
connections out there? Because I don't have any. I
Yeah.
would love to go see that
Until we
someday.
get media credentials, which is potentially an option
Yeah,
at some point.
you never know.
One thing, Vince, I don't usually do this, but I had to copy and paste this because uh, we don't know anyone over there, but Knowles 247. I appreciated one quote that I read today, and it says Joshua Farmer and Daniel Lyons are becoming notably massive. So that was from Brendan Sinone. I
Yeah,
just found that funny, like notably massive. That's a funny way to put it. Those are huge guys, and then you see Marvin Jones Jr. just casually strolling by on the camera, and you're like, well, the room
and
has
like
sure looks different.
eclipse that, right? So those are the
Yeah,
things that I've read too. Is that Marvin Jones Jr. is just a different type of beast.
yeah,
Um, and yeah, when you say noticeably massive, when they're already massive,
hmm
and for people that are there all the time, like Brendan and the guys from the other sites, they see the players live and in person all the time. So
yeah,
if they're noticing changes, then that's great.
yeah. Some of the other people you saw on camera, you caught on camera, but you got a ton. I think you saw a little bit of Charles Lester out there.
Hmm.
Seemed pretty fast. I mean, listen, I'm not uh, a recruiting 24/7 expert, but he seems fast, which is a nice thing. And then Vance, I almost said Vance because I was about to say Greedy Vance. Um, Greedy and Fentrell, it's exciting to see. You almost forget sometimes, like, oh yeah, those guys are still here,
Yeah, they're still here,
yeah, which is
and
nice. And Azaria,
that's a good point you bring up because um, what happened last year with the snub, right? And then all of the players that decided to not participate in the exhibition game, and they're getting themselves ready for the combine, which they should. We kind of forgot, right? Like
hmm
it's almost like you forget who was going to be on next year's team, right? And
yeah,
having the tour of duty and seeing all the names and reading all the reports, you're like, oh yeah, Az Thomas, you
hmm
know, oh yeah, Fentrell, oh
hmm
yeah, Josh Farmer, oh yeah, Daryl Jackson, by the way, who didn't get to
yeah,
play last year for ridiculous reasons. Um, so yeah, I mean, this team, if there's anybody out there that thinks this team was going to take a major step back next year, I think they were going to be sorely mistaken. This
yeah.
team, I'm not saying it's going to go undefeated, and we'll do all that stuff later on, but this team is poised to be, right up there with the last 2 years.
Absolutely. And with the 12-team playoff, you don't have to go 12-0 or hey, listen, we just went 13-0 and missed the 14 playoff. But
That's
my
right.
point is, you can lose a game in October and not be out of it now.
Yeah, that's right. And also excited to see what the offense looks like. Now that Jordan Travis has moved on, new quarterback and a lot of new skill player. Man, I'm just excited to see it. Just excited to see
Yeah.
it.
And guys, listen, we all see the body transformation pictures and the video. It's not practice yet, so you're not getting to see plays and everyone doing their thing out there. So we'll withhold judgment on that. But just from a visual standpoint, I definitely think we've seen improvement. I do want to get to some of these comments here. Brett Taylor,
Yep, let's do it.
DJU has slow feet, but so did Manning and Brady. Now, those are yes. Here's the thing: in college, if you have a mobile quarterback who can take off and run, it's kind of nice to have the exercise because he's going to hold up over the whole season, right?
Yeah, I mean, when you have it's a different body type, you're going to have some positives and possibly some negatives with it. But one of the positives is, you know, the brittleness isn't as bad, right? So
Yeah.
um, I'll take it.
Hey, there's 90 people, Vince, watching live, which last week
Beautiful.
we had over 1,000 views in our video in the first week. So 90 people watching live. I don't see 90 comments in the comment section or 90 likes. So
90 likes, right?
throw some likes
Uh,
out there if you're
throw some
watching
likes up
live.
there.
And
And
hey, if you're watching on Twitter or Facebook, go on YouTube and subscribe.
yeah, we're counting on you. This is your tour of duty. Garnet and Old watchers, this is your tour of duty, the only thing you have as part of your requirement is to go and subscribe and hit the like button.
It's our time
Then you
now.
pass.
It's not their time. It's our time.
It's our time.
Anything else? Any other things you want to just say in general, Vince, before we move on past the tour of duty? I think we're both impressed with what we saw.
Yeah. The only other thing, and I'll save it for the next thing.
Awesome. I do want to say, Brett Taylor writes in, I agree with y'all. He's a big, strong dude with a cannon for an arm. He's not a Kyler Murray. Agreed.
Yeah.
All right, Vince, what's next?
Well, I think we should, since we spent a ton of time pushing this, I think we should talk and just do a quick wrap up of the great give from yesterday. Um, you know, you guys know, you watch the show, like we pump the Chiefs, we push them, and they deserve it. And so, and I had Dr. Clack on yesterday, by the way, on a very bad connection.
Yeah, he was on a bus.
He was on a bus on his way to Greensboro. Matter of fact, the Seminole Sound Pep Band is about to start playing in Greensboro, North Carolina. The Florida State women's team is about to take on Wake Forest. But they were on their way up there, and he kind of cut in and out. But anyway, go back and watch it. It's kind of funny to watch me try to
Struggle.
juggle the problem there. Yeah, struggle. Exactly right. So, but let's wrap up the great give because a lot of you participated in that, and I'm proud of that. I'm super proud of that. The goal was $125,000. They hit that goal prior to 5 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
And the great give went on past that to midnight. And so clocking in at just short of $165,000 within a 24-hour period is absolutely nuts.
It sure is.
It is nuts. It is the most the Chiefs have ever fundraised during the Great Give, and all of those funds are going toward offsetting the cost of sending 170 Chiefs to Dublin in August for the game against Georgia Tech,
including your daughter,
including my daughter. And so, anyway, I just want to say, if any of the Garnet and Old listeners out there, if you contributed to this, thank you.
Well done.
And just, Ryan did. Thank you, Ryan. Ryan doesn't have a connection to the Chiefs like I do, except through me, right?
Yeah.
So it's just an amazing thing. And I know that you're giving money other places too, right? So, I'm giving money to the Battle's End, right? And I'm a Seminole booster. And it's like, gosh, how many more people are going to ask me for money? I get it. But you should see, and if you go to that website, you can go there and you can actually go through the roster of everybody that gave. And it's amazing to see like people that I haven't spoken or talked to in 15 years that I knew way back then. And then, I saw Ryan's name pop up, right?
You were on it. You messaged me right away.
I messaged you right away because I was trying to promote this all day. And then later last night, I saw a very important contribution come in from Coach Norvell and his wife.
Mm-hmm.
And he talked about that today during the interview after the tour. One of the questions was asked of him about, we saw that you donated money to the Chiefs, and would you talk about that? It's right around like the 9-minute 30-second mark. If you're interested to hear what you, I think he gave 2,500 or something like that.
That's awesome.
But if you talk to anybody that's been associated with the College of Music, back when I was there was the School of Music, or the Chiefs or anything like that, everyone always talks about like the golden age of when Bobby was here and how Bobby was completely attached to the Chiefs. And Coach Norvell gives that kind of vibe, man. And I'm just proud to have him as a coach, not just for the football stuff, but for the stuff he does to promote the university in general. Coach Norvell, if you're watching, I know you do. You are awesome, and the Chiefs appreciate it, and alumni Chiefs appreciate everything you do.
Speaking of Coach Norvell, Vince, let's go right into our next topic here, which is listen, I was surprised when I read the stories, probably like everyone else. Apparently, Florida State was concerned at the 11th hour enough about Mike Norvell going to Alabama that they were, I guess, toying or at least seriously considering the idea of offering and maybe even communicating, I would assume, back channels with his agent, which they all have the same agent, of course, uh, with Lane Kiffin. If Mike Norvell would have taken the Alabama job, it appears that Lane Kiffin would have been target number one. And so, going off what you just said, talking about loving Coach Norvell, do I think Lane Kiffin is a pretty entertaining coach as a sheer entertainment factor? Maybe a good play caller. Yeah, I do. Would I have wanted the drama he brings along with him in Tallahassee instead of Mike Norvell? Absolutely not.
No, and there were outlets. So when this was all going down, there were outlets out there that were saying, the Florida State contingent was getting nervous, and then there were other outlets saying that no one was ever nervous, right? And then it comes out yesterday that it was I don't want to say a done deal or close to being a done deal, but there was legitimate movement, um, or at least um, trying to given the opinion that there would be movement if some things didn't happen, right?
Yeah,
um, Luckily it didn't happen because do I yeah, I'm kind of like you. Do I think Kiffin's a good coach? Yeah, I think he is a good coach. um, do I laugh at his social media posts when he's
of course.
giving it to rivals? Absolutely, I laugh at it. um, but I don't know. This is just me. This might be the old part of me, right? I don't need that kind of circus in town. And I know that anybody that follows him and followed his career knows that he had some tough times, and apparently whatever things he was having a problem with, those have been taken care of, and he's everybody deserves second, third chances, whatever. I agree with all that.
Mhm.
I just don't. I'm glad. How about that? I'm glad. Super happy that Mike
Yeah,
Norvell got heard what he needed to hear
yeah,
from the leadership. Money aside, heard what he needed to hear from the leadership to make sure that he was confident in a decision he was going to make to stay at Florida State
yep,
long term. Right. I'm happy it played out that way. I don't. I laugh at Spurrier. I laughed at Spurrier the same way I laugh at Kiffin.
yeah,
Right. I'm glad it's someone else's coach that I can, look at
yeah,
the silliness they do, but I'm glad it's not ours.
yeah. It's like we love Mike Gundy, rest in peace. But you know, would you have wanted it?
Mike Gundy.
Not Mike Gundy. What's his name? Um,
Yeah.
you know who I'm talking about.
I know who
The
you're talking about.
the haircut, the whole 9 yards. Come on, help me out in the chat, guys.
Yeah. I can't
Mullet.
remember his name right now.
Come on, he's dead. You
He
know what I'm
is. He
talking
just
about.
passed away.
Yeah.
Somebody will put it up there in the chat really quickly, and we will see it, and we will feel good about that. Leach,
Mike
there you go.
Leach. There he
Mike
goes.
Leach. Thank you, Brett Taylor.
Same first name.
Yeah, Brett Taylor, thank you so much for that, because my old brain is not working so well.
I do want to
Um,
take Brad Taylor's comment. He said if FSU and Norvell didn't know that they were getting out of the ACC, FSU would have not been able to pay enough,
Agreed.
and he would have gone to Bama. I agree. Listen, FSU, upon announcing to the world that they were displeased and intended to leave the ACC, they slid at that point, decided that they were all in on football. And they were going to spend what it took. Think of all the stuff that's happening right now, Vince. We have a multi-million-dollar lawsuit, potentially. We have a stadium that's half destroyed. We have an entire NIL program, cranking, right? All these things are happening at the exact same time. There's so much happening, money involved, projects, the players' facility. football only facility. It's a lot of things happening at the same time, and you would not be doing that if you were going to be in the ACC for the next 10 years.
Right. And I also think, it's kind of what I was alluding to is that Mike Norvell heard what he needed to hear from the leadership.
Hmm.
So I'm confident. That makes me even more confident that, I said last show, 40% we're out by next year,
Yeah.
60% by 2025, 2026.
Yep. And I'm flip
So,
flop from that.
and you're flip flop from that. So throw some more comments in the chat, people. Thank goodness Kiffin can stay where he is, and we can enjoy a little bit, some more years, hopefully a lot more years with Coach Norvell.
It is funny how quick time passes. I remember that happened with Jimbo, where like all of a sudden it was year 6, and you're like, oh my god, he just got here. Same thing with Mike Norvell now. Like it's like, he's been here a while.
Yeah,
um, all right, Vince, we got some updates on the spring showcase. The spring game, depending on what you want to call it. Uh, Limited capacity. What's going on with the spring showcase, Vince? On 420.
yeah. I mean, that's really the update. Is that I think they announced the time, 4 p.m. Right, we knew it was going to be on 420, but the time is going to be 4 p.m. and there's going to be a limited capacity. And I think they also announced that tickets will go on sale and parking will go on sale on the 12th, I believe, the
Yep.
11th or the 12th, maybe. And 2 boosters to start with. So if you think about this for a second, normally on a spring game, there's not this kind of delineation of, the boosters get first. At least I don't recall it being that way, where the
Never.
boosters can get tickets first. But because of the limited capacity at the stadium, they're going to be opening up the tickets and the parking to the boosters first, and then it will be made available to the general public after that.
Yeah.
That's
And
pretty much
listen,
all I had to make sure
it
people
makes
knew that
sense.
was coming.
It makes sense. Limited capacity. You know, a team that just went 13-0. There's going to be a lot of passion behind it. They're expecting probably a decent turnout. So they're just trying to be mindful to take care of the boosters who, let's be honest, are kind of getting, some of them are getting a little bit of a short stick next year on season tickets. So
For sure.
make sure that they're happy and taken care of in other facets. That way, they keep them happy going forward. But Vince, real quick, last
And
thing.
as a reminder, Garnet and Old will be at the spring showcase.
Mm-hmm. How happy were you to see Jordan Travis out of the boot?
It was amazing, and then I saw some clips of him doing some drills where he's pushing some weights and things like that. And the first thing, by the way, the first thing I looked at when I saw that video, I was trying to compare the size of both of his legs to see if there was a ton of atrophy on the leg that was broken. But I didn't really notice,
He's
you
young
know,
too,
yeah, I didn't really notice a very big difference between those two. So yeah, man, hey, forever will be one of my favorite Knowles forever. Um, did it the right way, and the climb. Just talking about the climb, like his career, the climb.
Yeah, I don't think any of us anytime soon will forget Jordan Travis and all that he did for the program. Listen, he's you talk about someone who stuck around. So we will miss Jordan Travis, but we look forward to the next generation of Seminoles coming up in here to show off their talents. To answer Kirk David Tony, he took part in he was there at the combine
Interviews,
interviews.
probably.
So yes, he did take part of it, but he did not do a 40-yard
Nothing
dash or
physical.
anything. Yeah,
Yeah, nothing physical.
absolutely.
Someone posted a comment in here about the baseball team. Oh, it was Kirk.
11-0.
How about that?
How about that blowout the other day?
Hey, think about last year. Last year was Link Jarrett's first year as the coach,
Hmm.
right? And the baseball team was already, not what we're used to, was already having some problems. And, Coach Jarrett comes in and, he's a Knoll. And everybody was excited to have him back. And then the season didn't go so well, which I don't know why people would think it would go well all of a sudden just because you get a new coach. And people were kind of down on it a little bit, but and I'm not saying that they're going to go undefeated this year, but there's a noticeable change
Yeah.
in the depth on this team, and the base running has been interesting. It's been good.
Yeah.
And I'm not a baseball aficionado, but there are some things that were obviously not going right
Sure.
before,
Yeah.
obviously. And boy, are they mashing the ball. They are
Yeah.
hitting like crazy. So again, they're not going to go undefeated.
If they did,
But
that'd be impressive.
oh, it'd be
In
pretty
baseball, it's
amazing.
almost impossible. So
Oh, speaking of baseball, since we're just kind of winging it here, did you see or did you read about the all the information about possibly future site of the new baseball stadium in the intramural fields?
I did not.
Okay.
That would replace the
So
current parking lot.
yes. So this would all be in the future, but there was some documents talking about was it the Osceola project or something like that? I can't remember exactly, but spelling out specifically, that the baseball stadium a decent option for moving that would be to the intramural fields, overlooking or being overlooked by College Town,
Yeah, that would be fun.
Madso. Imagine that. Think about how
Also, that
cool
would
that would
also
be.
give back some of that real estate to FSU football over by the football stadium. I'm sure they would make use of that in some form or fashion.
Yeah, and we all know, we all love Hauser for sure. I mean, anything
Little
that's
leaky.
yeah, but anything that, kind of nostalgia for you, you kind of love it, but you also know that, time's got to move on, right?
Yeah.
And the history of the baseball program here deserves, you know, a like-minded facility, right?
Yeah.
And right now they're just kind of keeping it together, I think, in the meantime, until the football only facility gets done, the Doak renovations get done,
Conference move.
and we get out of this ridiculous league. I think once you see those things settle down, I think probably the next order of business is going to be new baseball
Yeah.
complex.
I hope so. It needs it.
It does.
I don't have as much nostalgia for it as you because by the time I got to it, Vince, it was already looking pretty rough.
Hmm.
But yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I think it'd be nice to start from scratch, not have to like knock down and renovate.
Right in the same spot. Yeah,
Yeah, and it wouldn't
I think
have
it
to.
makes it more difficult.
Well, we see it with Doak, right? I mean, we're doing the whole like less capacity thing next year and having to move people around. So by keeping the old stadium open while the new one until completion, I mean, it just makes a lot of sense. But yeah, I think it would be highly respectful of the baseball program and the legacy of Mike Martin to let's do it right, right?
Think about the cascade of that too, because if Hauser gets moved
Hmm.
or they knock down Hauser and build a new facility, which I'm sure will be called Hauser, right? Um, but then there's all that land where the old Hauser, where the current Hauser is, and is that then where the new softball complex goes, right? Because they're trying to expand, and there's only so much room they have there, and people are coming out to those games in droves,
Yeah,
and rightly so. I mean, that team is fun to watch, and they're constantly, in the
competing.
playoffs
Yeah,
and all that kind of thing. So
man, what a good show! A lot of people live streaming tonight. Almost 100 people live streaming. Thank you guys so much for watching. I mean, I always get excited the more when we have live streamers. A lot of questions coming. It just makes the shows more fun. Thank you guys again for subscribing and liking to the channel. And Vince, I hope you
remind people,
tell Gabby though happy birthday for me, your daughter.
I will do that, and we have to remind people that we are only 180 away from 1,000.
Yeah, help us get there.
um, and help us get there. This is an interesting time of year, right? Where if we were 180 away in August, we would blow that number. We would blow the 1,000 away within like 2 days because football. People are going to get excited about, the season,
Yeah.
whatever. But kind of February, March is a little bit of a doldrum. So, again, we remind everybody anything you can do to promote the show. We appreciate it. Download it, 5-star it, like it,
Everything.
subscribe, all the things that you normally would do.
I do want to say William McMillian. It looks like he's saying thanks to Jen for letting them know about the Garnet and Old show. So if that's the case, Jen from Renegade Report, thank you so much for sending people our way.
I think that's a great thing that you said, but I don't
It was
think
a
that's
play
what it
on
was
words.
about.
I wanted to use it though that way.
I got you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So she answered another question for us. So I got you, man. I think that's pretty much it.
There is only one more thing, Vince.
Yeah. Hey, they're going 170.
Send Chiefs all the damn time, and thank you guys so much for giving. If you did again,
You will be hearing from us shortly. Hopefully, that the coaches club will be showing up for the Chiefs in the booster donation area, and then we can continue to fund the Chiefs, because I had someone message me yesterday, said, "Well, they've hit the goal. What's next?"
yeah.
Well, what's next is the fact that there's an away game at Notre Dame,
hmm
and there's an away game at Miami,
And when we're in the
right?
Big Ten, a lot of yeah,
And I would hate for us to get to the football season and people start whining and complaining why Chiefs aren't going to these games. Now's the time that we have to take care of that. So,
yeah.
uh, but anyway, we're climbing, and send Chiefs all the damn time, and screw ESPN eternally.
Everyone, have a great Thursday. I hope you all have a great weekend. Go Knowles.
Go Knowles, everybody.